So, episode 4, and we're on to the sheerline. There are many things that make up the essentials of a classic yacht, but the one thing that differentiates an ordinary classic yacht from a beautiful classic yacht is the sheerline. It's the line we see from side on and how the deck sweeps slightly down from the stern and then gently rises up again to the bow. It's the one element you just cannot afford to get wrong. The sheerline is defined by its constructed sheer clamps, the timbers that connect the hull to the deck. Now, Petrel had its deck raised at some time in the past by adding an additional set of sheer clamps on top of the originals. Before these were removed, I did a rough visual setting of the sheerline by adding a batten along the line of the original sheer clamp. It at least gave us a visual of what state the current sheerline was. I then removed the late additional sheer clamp. At this time, Simon, Joe and Lewis returned, and we set about checking Petrel's reference angles against documented angles from Culwulla and Aoma. From these measurements, we slightly retrimmed Petrel sitting within its cradle, and after that we took a series of offsets from the sheerline and compared them to the drawings we had. This showed we had a slight W in the sheerline rather than a nice gentle U. This probably came about when the rig was changed from Gaff to Marconi. With the new sheerline marked off, a deck camber template was made and the process began to plane in the correct sheerline with the correct deck camber. The deck camber is constant from stem to stern, but the actual angle does change because the width of the boat changes. We took some 32 mil out of the sheerline near where the Marconi mast position was. You can actually see the drop in height in the video. Again, precision was the name of the day, as all that follows starts here. I then prepared some new cowrie to replace the existing sheer clamps. These were both laminated and scarfed into a single length, and then clamped onto the existing sheer clamp to get the correct shape and curve of the hull. With the new laminated sheer clamps set aside, I started to remove the original sheer clamp, first by grinding off the rows. Then removing it piece by piece of what was a pretty rotten piece of timber, as it had had many other steel fastenings put through it over the years. I then cut off the protruding copper nails, as I was no longer able to push them back through the hull skin, as the heads were now hidden under the new outer layers. This was all that was left of the original sheer clamps. A sorry sight indeed. With the old sheer clamps removed and the hull cleaned up, it was time to glue in the new one-piece laminated sheer clamps. As you can see, you need a good stock of clamps when you have a 40-foot long stick of timber to glue in. The new clamps were then planed in to the correct deck camber. So that's it for the sheer clamps. In the next episode we will deal with the new deck beams. I think it'll be some time before I'll be putting my feet up like this gentleman.